Because the states, it's a big deal in Chattanooga. These municipal power corporations, we allow them to offer internet within their geographical restrictions. The FCC unilaterally said last week that they can offer that same coverage to anyone across Tennessee. Now, whether that's a good idea or not, let's just leave that conversation for another day. They just usurped a state law that was made in the state capitol in Tennessee. An unelected board, 3 people, undid a law that was put on the books by Tennessee. So we said municipal cooperators can offer broadband, but not outside their territorial limits. And now the FCC has said that's not good, we're just going to undo it. So I just feel like that's an attack on our rights as a sovereign state. You know, if it has to do with anything the FCC can has jurisdiction over, then we have to worry that there's an unelected entity that's going to undo the laws we make. I just think that's a problem. Because remember, like I said, these municipal corporations get their charter from the state, just like a city or county. And FCC has said we cannot control the extent to which we allow broadband.
What if they're
and he may disagree with us, but we are accountable to the people. He is not. So if something doesn't pass, just because some bureaucrat in Washington, D.C. doesn't like what hasn't passed, or for that matter, what does pass, it's scary to think an unelected bureaucrat can say, okay, I disagree with the people of Tennessee, the people's representatives, and I'm going to change it with a stroke of a pen. That's scary.
Especially when it's a state-created entity. We're not just talking about, well, it goes across state lines, maybe you can use interstate commerce. This is a state-created entity. It's a limb of the state, and we cannot even control limbs of the state now. We have unelected bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. who are going to do that for us.
And I think one other thing that I think a synonymous argument would be the president's, what I consider to be extra constitutional proposal for blanket amnesty to limit the deportations of individuals who are not lawfully here in the United States. And you can say, well, where are we going with this? Well, I think what we see is from Washington, we see a steady flow of unconstitutional actions. And in this, we see yet another, that a law would be stipulated and passed down to a state that was actually not a law at all because it wasn't passed from a legislative body. So, my faith in Washington continues to fade, especially when we have things like this pushed down upon us that, first of all, we don't feel like have been brought up in the forefront from our constituents as something that must be done. Again, we just think that the process is better done here on the state level. All politics is local.